Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to Martin's Assembly Haven. Do you remember that not that long ago I built this really cool Cyborg Violence Bear metal model? As you can see, yep, that is pretty neat, very shiny, and it does also have a light in its eyes. You can see that is nice. And do you also remember that I mentioned that there is also an optional base for it? Yup. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. We're going to build a base that completes the whole display. And there it is. Yup, this is also a metal model. It does also have a light, which is really cool, and it's got acrylic sides, yup. And they do also come in different colours, just like your bear. So let's pop this open and see what we have in here. Let's have a quick nose of the instructions. As you can see, these type of instructions are normally extremely clear, as you can tell. Yup, very nice big pictures, nicely coloured and not overly cluttered at all. It just kind of feels like building Lego. Then we have two plastic packages right here that hold those much bigger metal pieces, and these are incredibly sturdy, very shiny, and of course stainless steel. Here we have three packages that include all your screws, your washers, your nuts, and all those little bits and bobs. And as you can see, they are also marked. So A, B, and C. So you will definitely start from A, then move on to B and C, which is very handy. Here's a bag that contains all of those acrylic parts. And yes, you might look at it and think, why is it all brown? Well, it's a protective film that we do have to remove. As you can see, that's one side, but we have it on both sides. Oh, whoa, okay, that was satisfying as hell. That is super cool. Oh yes, and look at that thickness as well. That is absolutely magical. And can you picture this in different colours? But as you can tell, my bear's got red feet, arms, the eye, the ears. That is going to suit this base extremely well. And here we've got two ring LED lights. Look at this. That is a lot of LED lights right there. Look at the size of that battery. And this should be activated by using a magnet, which is actually included in the kit as well. Yep. So this one right here. So one is included with the bear, and then another one is included with the actual base, which is awesome. And to be honest, which is even better, there's actually two magnets. Yup, this magnet will come in super handy. I'll show you in just a second why. So let's see, where does the magnet have to go? There you go. So on the camera, it actually doesn't look that bright, but yeah, in person, that is absolutely awesome. So we can either have still light, as you can see, or blinking lights, kind of dimming light. It kind of disappears, then it comes back up, full blast. But it does look like it's flashing, but that's just because the camera frame rate, and it doesn't look bright at all on the camera, but it is very bright. And last but not least, there is tools included in the kit, which is awesome. So we've got a couple of Allen keys, we've got a little tiny wrench right here, and we do have these tweezers, which are incredibly handy, especially because they have these grooves or teeth, however you want to call it, so you can get a really good grip. And do you remember how I mentioned that having this extra magnet is really handy? Let me show you why. So you attach it to your tweezers, not too close to the tip. I would say maybe this far. You can calibrate it yourself. So when it comes to little guys like this, that you have to pick up possibly by using your tweezers. So there you go. This is how you pick up. See that? Yep, because of the magnet, it will hold it nicely into place, and then you just grab it and pop it on and kind of slide the tweezers away. Extremely handy. I will most certainly be using these tweezers, but however, about all the other tools, I might not even need to use them, because what I normally use is my own electric screwdriver, which kind of makes the build more enjoyable for myself. So as you can see, so many extra bits. I do have tweezers and a prying tool in there as well, but these tweezers, to be honest, for these type of kits aren't that much use because they're just far too pointy, and there is no grooves or teeth in there at all, which means you can't really grab onto those little bits, you know. But this screwdriver, absolutely awesome. We can increase the torque as well, and it does also have a little wee light, which is absolutely awesome. And I will also be using little wee pliers that I have collected from other metal kits. I have got so many of these, it's unreal. But I normally hold my nuts with these. I find it way easier, and then I just use my screwdriver to screw the screw in. It's as simple as that. I have used the screwdriver for so many kits now, and if you fancy one of these yourself, you can go and check it out. There's a link to Amazon in the description and the comment section, and I would really appreciate if you all left a like for this video, because that helps spread the word. Thank you very much, and thank you so much to all my channel members. You are absolute legends, guys. If you love and enjoy my work and you would love to support it, you can also join my channel as a member, and that is you basically buying me a coffee once a month. And remember, of course, go and check out this amazing bear and this base on my store website. There's a link in the description and the comment section, and remember, use my promo code Martins and you will receive 12% off on everything. That is absolutely massive. And let's begin. Okay, here's our step number 1. And we are also bringing in B6 piece from your next step that we'll be doing after this is done. And just to let you know, each chapter is for each full page. So there might be multiple steps on one page, just to let you know. Right, so we simply grab this guy right here, then we grab the bearing and we pop it straight in that hole. And just make sure it's pushed right in. Then we're going to grab one of these nuts and just pop it straight in. And make sure that cutout line that you can see right there, that gap, stays facing your ceiling basically, so you can use this end from B6 to screw it in. Just like that. Just screw it in hand tight. Don't go crazy with it, because you don't want to also bend this B6 piece. And we do exactly the same thing again. Just make sure the bearing's pushed right in. There we go. And pop your nut on. There we are. Just like that. And simply screw it in. If you get it straight. Unlike me, that was not straight. There we go. Just like that. See that? Nice and easy start. Now we move on to our next step. So there's the pieces, but you will have 6 times more pieces than I have right here, because we're going to build the same thing 6 times. And what I have noticed about this specific step already is that there's something slightly incorrect. So it tells us at one point that we should use this guy, which is G3 1.6, but this is actually too big. Yup, it's too tall. And what we should actually use is this, which is G3 1. So when you compare them side to side, as you can see, one is smaller than the other. So these are the ones that we actually need, but we don't actually have enough of those in the kit, which is a bit of a shame, but obviously I will let the brand know so they can fix it. And you can just request spare parts. They will send them to you. But me, luckily, because I've built so many metal models in the past, I have quite a lot of those spare parts already. So I don't need to request new ones. And you want me to show you why you need to use the G3 1s instead of G3 1.5s. So when we move on to our next step, after we build 6 of these little guys, they will get attached to this piece right here. And when you look at it, see that? That's where that G3 1.5 is, which is too tall. See how it's all squint? This front is kind of bent upwards. That is not how it's supposed to be. It's all supposed to be nice and straight. And that's why that is the wrong part. But if you do have spare of these yourself because you've built metal models in the past, absolutely awesome. Or what else you could use, which there is not enough of in the kit, to be honest, because there are spare parts, but not enough to cover 6 of those little guys. So the G3 1s is, you could use the LM 1.6 nuts. Yup, because it's basically the same thickness. See that? Look at that. So you could replace it with these nuts. If you maybe have some lying about, that would be also a very good replacement. But never mind that. Let's start with this build. So we're going to start with these 3 screws right here. So we've got our little wee spacers or washers, however you fancy calling them. So we're going to pop one of each on each screw. Just be very careful, they're very tiny. And if your finger's like moist a little bit, you know, if you're nice and warm, if your body's warm, you can easily pick them up like this with your finger, which is really quite handy, you know. Right, now we come to this guy right here. So your B4. I'm going to hold it like this. So imagine that's the arrowhead and is basically pointing to the left. I'm going to pick up one screw, going to pop it through, then another one, right through, just like that. Then we come to this guy, so your B6. So imagine this arrow again, it kind of looks like it's pointing to the right now, so that's how you're keeping it. And the 2 holes will simply go on the 2 screws, just like that. Now what we're doing is popping another screw, so your 3rd screw through this hole at the end. Just make sure you're holding all the screws into place so they don't basically fall out, you know. Now we're going to pick up another 2 washers. We're going to pop one on the single screw that we just popped in, that's right at the end there. And another one in between the other 2 screws, so the one that's in the middle basically. There we go. Just like that. Now we're going to leave this out. So this is my G3.1 and not G3 1.5. However, if you're happy with the other one, with that thicker one, if you're not so bothered about it being kind of squint a little bit, you can just use them, that's okay. But yeah, otherwise, just request a new part, you know. So, I'm going to actually leave that just for now, until the last bit, basically. I'm going to come to the spring, I'm going to pop it on the middle screw, and it's going to go all the way to the end of the B6, just like that, right on that screw. You might have to stretch it a little bit to get it on that screw, just to let you know. And now, on both of those screws, where the spring just went on, we're popping 2 washers on, so 1 on each screw, just like that. Just be careful. And now we come to this, so my G3.1, and there we go, literally, just like that. And what you're going to do now is you're going to make another 5 of these exactly same things. Okay, that's that. All 6 of them done right here. Now we move on to our next step, which is on page number 2. So, you have seen this before already. So this is your A10. So, we use our A10 and one of these guys that we literally just built. So, when you look at this, see where the 2 screws are right here. That's where the 2 screws that are quite close to each other are going to go. And as you can see, my little washer just fell off. There we go. I'm going to pop it back on. And I'm going to pop this screw right here towards the middle, that's towards the center of this A10 first. So just a little bit. And then I'm going to pop the rest in. Okay, just be very gentle. The screws, the inner screw, like the middle screw and that screw might be kind of pulled towards the center a little bit just because of that spring, but you just have to wiggle it around a little bit or pop a little like Allen key or anything tiny in there to kind of move it around a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pop this guy on first. So that's going on this single screw that's towards the center of the A10. And just screw it all the way on. Don't do it extremely tight just now, just hand tight. We will tighten in just a second. As for the other 2 screws, they need a washer each first. There we go, just like that. And then the same on the other one. And then we've got 2 nuts right here. Again, very tiny, so just be very careful when you're trying to pop them on. So I'm going to pop it on a little bit. Give it a little turn, there we go. That's that one on, and don't forget we will tighten those 2 nuts as well. Right. See that? There we go. So with your tools that were provided in the kit, it should be very straightforward to screw everything in, but I'm going to use my pliers to hold everything and my screwdriver to tighten everything. There we go. So nice and tight. You don't want it to start kind of loosening if you're messing around with this piece, you see. Okay, I'm going to grab it just like that. There we go. And the last one right here. Just like that. Nice and straightforward. Look at that. That is really cool. And now when you look at this, see that? That is much straighter, isn't it? Unlike the previous one, how the front just was kind of bent upwards. And you don't ever see that with these type of metal models. Nothing is like squint like that. You don't tend to bend metal in these type of kits. Anyways, now all you have to do is the same thing, but 5 more times. Yep, you've got another one of these A10s. So 3 times on that and twice on this. And there we go. So that's both of them done. As you can see, both look really quite neat and yeah, very quite cool with those goldeny washers. That is really quite nice. Right, now we move on to our next step, which is on page number 3. Again, this time you will have double the pieces I have here because we're doing exactly the same thing on each of these guys that we just built. Right, we're going to start with the screws. And we're going to pop the goldeny washers on. So 1 on each. Literally just like that. Nice and easy. As you can see, this time these goldeny washers are actually bigger than the previous ones. Right. There we go. Then we come to this guy. And the screws are going to go through the center right there. Around the center basically. But you have to make sure that the screws, I'm going to look at actual screw heads. So the screw heads are facing the same way. Literally just like that. See that? And not through the other side. You can't see any screw heads. It's just nuts and all the rest of it, you know. So we're going to pop all 3 of them through. Just like that. And I'm going to hold them with my fingers at the back. You can just place it down. It might work a bit better. I know they're going to fall out a little bit because of these guys. So there's a space basically for the screw to kind of pop out a little bit. But you could just pop it down and keep placing items on everything. But I'm going to hold it with my fingers. Just like that. Right, now we got 3 of these bigger guys. Bigger washers, I'm going to call them. So G3 1.5s. This is where we definitely need them. So 1 on each screw. Literally just like that. There we are. Then we got our A2 right here. We'll pop that on. The more of A2s we pop on, the more the screws will kind of straighten themselves out, you know. And just make sure that's pushed down. There we go. Now we come to the smaller washers right here. So that's your G3 1s. So pop those on. 1 on each screw again. There we go. Oh, whoa, whoa, where are you going? He's doing a runner. He's doing a runner. He'll try it anyways. There we go. Then another A2. Whoa, 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 whoa. How did that other screw not pop through, eh? Alright, line them up. Come on, screw. There we go. Nice. Now more G3 1s. So 1 on each again. Okay. Nice and gentle. You could use tweezers if you fancy, but for this sort of stage I find using my fingers way easier because it kind of just sticks to my finger, you know. Alright, there we go. And then another A2, just like that. And then the last 3 washers, there we go. So your G3 1s. Okay. There we go. And then we come to this guy. Remember this? This was our like very first step we did. So that goes on just like that. There we go. So the actual tube is facing away from the other side basically. So this is how we should go on. That's how it should look like. And then what we do is we simply pop these 3 nuts on. So once you pop it on a little bit, secure it a little bit with your finger, you know, so it doesn't all start falling off. Then go to your next screw, do the same again. That is starting to look really cool, by the way. Very nice. There we go. See that? That one went on nice and easily. I was going to say nice and cool. It was quite cool because it kind of rolled on, you know. And one more. There we go. See that? How that rolled on a bit? That's rolled on a bit as well. Nice one. Now I'm going to grab it with my pliers and tighten it. Nice and tight. We do not want it loose at all. There we go. That's the second one. And one more. Nice and tight. And there we go. Look at that. That is looking super cool. Look at the inside there. Ooh, kind of reminds me of Iron Man a little bit. But yeah, that is super cool. Those layers look really nice as well. And now you have to do exactly the same thing on this guy right here. And now on to our next step right here. Again, we're going to have to make 2 of these all together. So I've got enough parts here to make 1, and then we'll do another one. Right, first thing, again, we're going to pop these washers on the screws. So each washer on each screw, just like that. And when you're assembling this part, what you can do is just lay everything flat on your worktop basically. That will make life so much easier. Right, then we come to our A8 right here. So the one that has those triangles on the outer edges. And the screws will simply pop in through the holes, just like that. Doesn't matter which side you use. Then you can turn it upside down and pop it on your worktop. But I'm going to leave it in my palm so we can see exactly what we have to do. And as you can see, one of my screws has just popped out. Let me pop it back in. Right, where's my washer? Where's my washer? Come on, buddy. There we go. Get on there. Yeah. Pop it back in. Now I'm going to pop it on my palm, just like that. There we go. Okay, so that's that on. So our A8. Now we're going on to our little wee guys. So you can call it a little tube, possibly actually, yeah. So your G3 1.5s. That's what we're popping on the screws. Just like that. There we go. So 1 on each screw. There we go. Now we take the A11. Now that goes on all the 3 screws. There we go. Just nice and gentle, you know. One of my screws is not wanting to line up, but that's okay. We'll get there. There we go. See that? Now we got our A7 right here. Now we pop this guy on. Just like that. And now we got our bigger tubes right here. So your G3-4s, pop those straight on the screws. Again, 1 on each screw. Just like that. Then we got our B2 right here. We'll pop that on the screws. Just like that. And now we got a nut for each screw. So I'm just going to screw it on just a little bit just to secure it into place so the screw basically doesn't fall out, you know. Right, one more to go. And then I'm going to grab my pliers and the screwdriver and we'll tighten it all up so it's all nice and tight. We do not want anything to be loose here. There we go. As you can see, the screws can't pop out anymore. Right, gonna grab the pliers, grab the nut, and we'll simply tighten it. Nice and tight. Okay, that's one. On the second one. And the last one. There we go. There we are, just like that. And now you have to make / build exactly the same thing again. And there we go. Both of them completed, just like that. That looks really nice and I absolutely love that sheen. That's amazing. Right, now on to our next step, which is on page number 5. So the previous step was on page number 4. Again, you're going to need double the pieces that I have here. So we grab the screw, then we grab our T2 right here. The screw is going to go through it and it's going to go through this side. See that? When you look at this side, this back is kind of poking out just straight, and it's not like a cone like this side. So it's going through that cone side, just like that. Then we grab the longer tube right here, pop that on the screw. Then we grab one of these guys that we built at the start. And the screw is going through this side and not that side. Literally, just like that. Then what we do is, you're left with two tubes. Just make sure you don't mix them up. See that? They're both different sizes, just slightly. So the first one we're using is the smaller one. So we'll pop that straight on that screw. Then we grab one of these guys, and the screw is going through this side, and not through the back where this guy is poking out basically. So through the inside. There we go. Just like that. Then our last tube, and then we got our B3 that goes right on here. So for this step, this is all you have to do, and all you can do is literally just pop it down like that and do exactly the same thing with these guys. Look at these. How cool are these? I don't know about you, but this kind of reminds me of definitely Transformers. That is super awesome, very quite cool. And it would be even better if you actually stayed spinning like this, and I'm pretty sure it will, because there is a bearing in there, which is absolutely awesome. Right, let's pop these down just for now. Okay, let me give it a spin. Oh yes, like a fidget spinner. That is absolutely awesome. Right, now we move on to our next step, which is on page number 6. So as you can see, we're starting to use our acrylic pieces, and just look at that. Look at that thickness. That is absolutely brilliant. That color is amazing. But yeah, just make sure you give it maybe just a slight clean, because those fingerprints are, wow, sticking to it. Right, so let's start with the first one. Pay attention to this round hole, big hole right here. So we kind of have to make sure it stays kind of mostly facing down, because it's not right in the middle of this. Imagine there's a big circle here, of course. So it's pointing down, and it's staying on the right hand side, like it is just now. So what we're doing is, we're popping a screw through here, and another screw, well, just you wait till I pick it up, right through here. See those two holes? So you leave the middle hole free just now. Then I'm going to hold the screws into place. Where did my nut go? Try to escape. On the back, we're going to pop this guy on. So that's your B1. Ha! B1. Just like that. And then we simply secure it with 2 nuts. Just like that. And again, just make sure those nuts are nicely screwed into place. Nice and tight. Yeah, no? Alright, come on. Where are you going? There we go. Grab my pliers. Got to be careful with the pliers here, really, because I don't want to scratch the plastic. That's one. And that's the other. It looks slightly, oh no, it's not, is it? I was going to say it looks slightly squint. When you look at it, is that just me? Or maybe it's actually supposed to be like that, because when you look at the actual middle hole, that is absolutely perfectly lined up. But when you look at the back of it, it does look like the B1 is actually slightly squint, but it's kind of not, maybe? No, it can't be, because that hole is incredibly clear through that hole. Right, so now we do exactly the same thing on our other piece. So make sure this time though, because it's the other way round basically, this time this hole is facing to the left and towards your worktop basically. And again, 2 screws straight through the front, just like that. Turn it upside down. That's your B1 going straight on, just like that. And 2 of your nuts. Let's see if this one might look a bit squint as well. Or maybe it's just because when I tightened it, it somehow managed to move. Because you can feel that the screws can move. There's space for them to move. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to affect the actual final build anyways. So I'm going to tighten this one a little bit. Tighten a little bit the other one, and not fully. Hey, where are you going? Just a little bit. Let's see. Now I'm going to fully tighten it. That's one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just me. The screw moved. Because I was tightening the screw, as you can see, that one's nice and straight. Because I was tightening the screw, sorry, the nut, the metal piece, so your B1, clearly moved. Not that it bothers me, but I'm going to loosen it a little bit. Let's see if we can straighten out, just like our second one that we just built. Let's see. Yeah, I can straighten out. Yep, yeah, that was just me. If you care about detail, yes, definitely try and straighten out like I am doing just now, you know. So I'm going to tighten it a little bit to start with. Not fully. Let me straighten it out. Is that a bit better? Nope. There we go, that's better. Now I'm going to tighten the top. Okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's definitely better. Much straighter. Yeah, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, nah, I do not like it squint like that. Nice and straight, you know? And there we go. Right, here's our pieces for page number 7. And you will have double the pieces, again, because this pile is for this acrylic guy, and there's going to be another one for this acrylic guy. But basically, we're building this on the opposite side compared to this one. So we're starting with this one that we built first. So, what we're going to do is make sure those screw heads are basically facing you and not the nuts. So that's how we're going to leave it just for now, because you also have to make sure actually that this big hole is facing towards your bottom right, basically. See that? Because it's not like it's in the center of this whole piece. It's kind of towards the bottom and to the right. That's how we're keeping it, basically. Then, if you look at the instructions, when you look at this LED light, you will notice that there's supposed to be like another 2 holes on this LED ring light. So one like above here and then one below the center hole like right here. But don't worry, you actually don't need it. So don't feel confused. Right, first thing we're doing is we're picking up this plastic guy right here. See how the legs are kind of sticking out on one side? So we're keeping that facing to the right. And the screws are going in through the back basically. Literally, just like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop all 5 screws through now. There we go. That's 2. 3, 2 more to go. There we go. Those noises are pretty cool. Very nice. Right. Now the LED light is going on it. Make sure the LED lights, like the actual LED lights, are facing the screws basically as you're putting it on and not like this. That's a no-no. And simply pop it through those holes. Nice and gentle. There we go. See that? Just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down, just like that. And we're going to pop each of these little tubes on each screw. So that's your G3 trees. 1 on each. Just like that. There we go. And one more. See that? Just like that. Now when we come to this guy, remember how I said this is how I'm keeping it? So this hole is for the battery. So I'm going to turn it like that. That's how it's going on. Boom. See that? There we go. Just make sure those holes align with the screws. And just push it straight through. Just like that. You will, however, notice that there's actually not much clearing for the actual nuts. See that? The screws are hardly poking through. See that? There is no much clearing at all. But let's go ahead and pop them on. As soon as you screw them on a little bit with your fingers, great. And I think this is where actually this little wrench would come in super handy. There we go. So I know that's definitely on. I will tighten them all up with a screwdriver in just a second as well. Not obviously like a maniac, because we do not want to take our chances in breaking that acrylic piece. I know it's quite thick, but still. Right, there we go, just like that. Tighten it just a little bit, because I'm using a little wrench just to be sure that that nut is actually on the screw before it basically escapes, you know. And one more. see. Has this caught onto the screw? Let's see. Yep, definitely has. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave it on the nut, grab the screwdriver and tighten it. Nice and tight, but as I said, don't go at it like a maniac, you know. We don't want to break that acrylic piece. There we go, just work your way around it, nice and gentle. 2 more to go. 1 more. There we go. Just like that. See that? This is how it should look like. Yep. And just remember, ignore the 2 holes that you can see in the instructions. That is looking magical. And now you have to basically do exactly the same thing on this acrylic piece, but literally the other way around. This time this hole is going to stay on your left and kind of mostly facing downwards. And there we go. As you can see, both pieces have been completed. Right, these are the pieces for our next step, and this is the page number 9. So what we're going to do is, we're going to pop the screws through these 2 holes, and then we're going to pop these smaller tubes on, so the G35s on the screws, and this is going to go on top of this first guy that we built. But we have to make sure this is facing the right way, because these gaps that you're seeing right here, they are for the screws right here that are at the front. So if you try and put it on like this, it's not going to work. So we're basically twisting it, and then it would fit in. See that? Really nicely, yep. And yeah, that acrylic piece, look at that, so thick. That is absolutely lovely. Right, 2 screws straight through, turn it upside down, 2 smaller tubes going straight on those screws. That's 1, oh, that's 2. So the LED light is facing the acrylic piece basically, you know, that's all you really have to remember. Is this the right way? I don't think so. Let me do it like that. Let me see. Was that the right way? No. So it was the other way. The first way that I put it on. Oh my god. I questioned myself in my head, you know. That's what happened there. Let me see. Alright. Up straight on. No, that was the right way. Oh my goodness, what am I talking about? So just twist the pieces, you know, till it basically falls into place, like that. Oh my lord. Right, now we come to these guys, right here, so that will screw onto those screws. Just like that. We'll make sure it's nice and tight, you know. Not overly tight, but pretty tight. So I'm going to hold it into place with my pliers. And we'll just tighten it. Just a little bit, not fully just yet. I'm going to tighten the other one a little bit as well. Now I'm going to tighten this one fully. There we go. Again, not overly tight, don't want to break anything, but just tight enough. Yes, there we go. Yeah, nice and tight. See that? So nothing is loose now at the front, because that acrylic piece was quite loose. Well, as you can see now, it's not, and that is looking really cool. That's a lovely piece. Okay, I brought in my next pieces for the step number 10. And you might be wondering, dude, you missed 2 pieces. Not really, they're right there. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm just bringing in next pieces so we can just basically continue after we pop these guys on. So these guys literally go on these long bits that we just popped on. Literally, just like that. Yup. Very nice and easy, just like that. And we're going to make sure that the battery is staying on the bottom left-hand side, basically. Just like that. Because now, this guy's going on. So that will go on, literally, like that. See that? Wham. Yup. So when we look at the battery, I'm going to try and keep it to the right-hand side. Not that it should actually matter, to be honest, you know, but I'm going to keep it to the right. Right. Again, we got our acrylic piece. We've got 2 screws, pop those straight through the holes, just like that. Right, then we turn it, and again, we've got 2 of the little tubes. So they will go straight on, just like that. Then we come to this piece right here, and we got to make sure, again, that everything lines up properly. Oh, I completely did that wrong now. I don't know why I did it that way. That was very silly of me. Let's do that again. This time, I'm going to turn this piece and not my acrylic piece that I was holding. There we go. See that? So those holes again line up with those screws really nicely. So it kind of just folds into place, you know. Now I'm going to turn it like this. So see how that top screw is just at the top and not at the bottom? Like that. That's how I'm holding it. Just like that. And now those two screws will line up with these two guys. So just pop it straight in. And we'll just tighten it. Nice and gentle. Don't over tighten one side, you know, and then work on the other. Just work your way back and forth, basically. There we go. Nice and tight now. Yes. There we go. Look at this. How cool is this piece? Very nice and sturdy. Oh, yes. That is very Iron Man slash Transformer type of style. That is awesome. Okay, so now we've got our pieces for our next step, which are on page 11. See this plastic tube, by the way? There will be a protective covering on this as well, so make sure you take it off. And you'll probably have to stick your pinky right in there and give it a good clean, because there was a lot of plastic shavings in there. It was pretty dirty, I'm not gonna lie. But that's fine, easy to clean. Right, what we're going to do is we're gonna hold this at the bottom. We're gonna pop this tube right on here, so it doesn't really fall into anything, but it will just kind of sort of stay in the center. Then this guy comes on the top. But what you have to make sure that you're doing is, so imagine that tube is in the middle. So when you look at this guy, see how there's little dents right in there, so one in there, like holes basically, one there and three here. And it's exactly the same here. So make sure they are all basically lined up, see that? Just like that, boom. That's how it's gonna go on. So, plastic in the middle, this on the top, and then we come to our little leggies, so your A3 is right here. So make sure this guy that's poking out the bigger end basically, see that, much bigger end, that is facing this guy, right here. So this is how it's going on, so that's your A9 right there. And it basically clicks in those holes. Just make sure it's pushed right in. Let's see. That's too loose, I can just tell. There we go, now we popped into place. Now I'm gonna go to the back of it, sorry, to the opposite side of it. Do exactly the same thing again. Pop the bottom in, now the side. Just be careful, you know, don't work around it like too hard, because those pieces, those A3s will probably start falling out. So just be gentle basically. There we go, that's 3. And one more. So that tube will be nicely into place now. See that? Just like that. That is looking really quite cool. Don't know if you noticed, but yep, one of the legs literally popped out as I basically finished the cut for this part. So I'm just gonna pop it back in. There you go, yep, all fine. Make sure you're holding them into place. Nice one, let's continue. Now on to our next pieces right here. A very nice and straightforward step. So, all of these screws, which are all 4 of them, will go in that hole, this hole, and that hole, and that hole. So all 4 corner holes. Pop that screw in, we turn it upside down, and we literally pop this square metal piece on it. Just screw it on, doesn't matter which hole you use. And we just kind of have to make sure that it's nice and straight, like this, see that? And not like squint, like this. No, 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 because then it's kind of sitting over the edge. So once it's straightened out, like that, I'm gonna hold it into place with my finger as much as I can. And I'm gonna use a screwdriver to tighten the screw. Oh, I just realized I've got the wrong bit. Let me pop the other bit in, there we go. See that? There we go. See that edge right there, nice and flush. And now what we've got to do is exactly the same thing, another 3 times in all of these 3 corners. Okay, that's all four corners done. And just to let you know, there might be one thing that you will possibly notice. So see this, yeah, that is very nice and flush. Same as that one and that one. But when you look at that one, see that? It's kind of over the edge, just slightly. So it's not going to be flush when the rest of the pieces go in that space, if anything else goes in there. So I'm going to undo the screw a little bit, turn it, and make sure a different side is flush with that acrylic piece. That's all you have to do. See that? So just use a different side of that metal cube, and then it will be flush, as flush as anything. And there we go. Nice one. Right, now we come back to this guy right here, and these are the pieces for our next step. Right, what we're doing is we're simply popping the screws through this smaller ring that's at the bottom, and we're popping them through the top like this. Yep, all four screws. So just work your way around it and make sure at the same time with your other hand you're holding the piece in a way that none of these legs can basically escape, you know, because once that starts happening you could cause slight trouble, you know, or just a bit of annoyance for yourself, really. Right, there we go, that's all four through. Now we got to do the, oh, see, I moved my hand. One of the pieces just popped out like nobody's business. Let me pop it back in. The back one escaped as well a little bit. So we just have to be very careful, you know, take our time. Another one escaped. Yep, just be very careful. Okay. So what we're gonna do is, see this guy that we just built? See those little metal cubes? They will be facing basically my worktop, just like that. See these legs? So this guy is getting fixed on this acrylic piece. But see these legs right here? Because they're kind of more to the right hand side and more to the right hand side because of the way how I'm holding it. See that? So when you look at this acrylic piece, because my legs are mostly to the right and the left, this acrylic piece has to sit like this. So see the two lines? They have to be at the top and the bottom and not to the right and left. Just like that. Then what we do is we're going to have to pop this piece right on here and align the four holes with the holes that are in the acrylic piece, because these screws now will go straight in there. Alright, this is definitely not going to be that straightforward. And then on the other side we're going to secure the screws with the nuts. Just be extremely gentle. Oh, look at this. Absolute perfection. Ha! That was magic. Not that you can actually see it, to be honest. But it went in extremely easy. Now I've pushed down all my fingers, see that? So I can hold every single screw that's at the bottom here. And I'm just going to gently screw on these nuts with my other hand. Just be gentle, you know, because you don't want to lose those little legs that I keep talking about. One of the screws popped out, that's okay. That piece is definitely, nothing is going to go anywhere here, to be honest. Right, now the other nut. There we go. Nice and gentle, just take your time. I'm going to undo this nut a little bit. There we go, free some more space for this nut. Okay, now onto the third screw. Let's see. Okay, so that one's on. I'm going to leave this screw out just for now because I'm just going to tighten these nuts right here. That one's a bit too loose, so I'm going to use my fingers. There we go. Right, let's tighten that one up. So my little wee wrench is definitely handy here again. Right, I don't really have a finger on that screw, so I'm going to work on this one. You literally just have to take your time. There we go. And this is also where the Allen key would come in handy, because I don't think I can squeeze in my screwdriver in there. Right, now I'm going to pop that screw through. Just like that. And the nut on the other side. Nice and gentle. Ay, ay, ay. Keeps escaping, eh? There we go. Right, okay. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I gave one of my Allen keys to my 18-month-old and I am not too sure where it is, to be honest, because you know how it goes. If you don't give him the tools that he wants, they start crying, you know, but this is the right one, so it's okay. I don't need the other one. That came with the kit, you see, in the kit. So the Allen key's in place, and now I'm just working my way around all the nuts and I'm just tightening them, and that's what you should do as well. So I'm just going to do the opposite one, you see, and then I'm going to do the other ones. So you should go ahead and do exactly the same thing. And there you go, look at that, all tightened very nicely into place, and as you can see, the legs will not and should not move, because as you tighten those nuts on, those screws just tighten those rings down, which means it pushes these legs down against this acrylic piece, and it's all nicely into place now. That is looking really cool, really quite awesome, to be honest. You know what this kind of reminds me of? This stage, like your camping stove. Yep, portable camping stove. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, surely you know what I mean. Right. Now we come on to our next step on page 14. God, these acrylic pieces are absolutely awesome. Right, we got 4 screws. They will simply go through each corner. Literally, just like that. Yep. And what we're going to do is, we're going to pop this on these 4 legs. Just like that. See that? That's how it's going to go on. And those holes, these lines, will line up with these legs. Right here. But we do have another little piece to pop on first, and that is this guy right here, your little wee tube, just like that. So what we're going to do is, we should again just lie it flat, to be honest. That will make life so much easier for you, you know. So get all of those 4 screws in. Oh, I did that a bit too early, to be honest, and I nearly lost my little wee tube. Right, so 4 screws in, just like that, in each corner, as I said. There we go. I'm going to turn it upside down now, leave it on the worktop, well, on the slate, there we go, because I don't want to damage my worktop, you see. Then we got our little wee tubes, so G42s, we'll pop one of each on each screw, just like that. See that? Magic. Now this guy goes on, so again, yeah, these holes go through the holes, through the screws, sorry. And then these guys will go straight through, just like that. And then we have to screw the screw into these guys. It's literally as simple as that. Right, so let's align it with the screws. And make sure those legs pop in the acrylic holes as well. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Nicely lined up. That is magic. I would like to lift it up and show you, but no, I can't do that because otherwise everything will fall out. Well, all the 4 screws. Now we just have to screw on a little bit. So each piece, a little bit on each screw. Just because we'll turn it other way around then and finish off with a screwdriver. If you need to move the piece a little bit because there's not enough space for this guy, just try and move the leg, see that? Move the leg a little bit, you know? And then pop it on that screw. There you go. Now we're talking. Okay, so this is our 3rd one. Right here. Is that screwed on? Yep. Whoa, I just realized I lifted it away. That was silly again. Too much excitement. Well, let's see. Oh, look at that. Absolute magic. Because don't forget I had a little tube in between the metal leg and the acrylic piece as well, you know. Lined it up very nicely and just popped it into place. And there you go. See that? That is really nice, that acrylic piece. Oh yeah, I love it. And now we can tighten up. Nice and simple. So I'm not going to do it fully straight away. Just kind of like hand tied basically. I'm holding it very loose, you know, the screwdriver. Okay, now I'm going to fully tighten it. There we go, that was actually a bit too loose. Okay. Two more to go. Okay. And one more. There we go. Look at this. Oh, that is absolutely awesome. By the way, everything's got really nice weight, which is absolutely brilliant. So I'm pretty sure that base is going to have some really good weight. That is magic. Then we come to this guy. So where the ring LED lights are. And we come to this side right here that has these two slots right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that, imagine this is the star, you know, right here. So that top part is facing this acrylic part right here. So we would go on like this, literally. See those two legs? They would just go in these two holes right here. And you might have to push these acrylic pieces either out a little bit or in until it pops into place, as far as you can put it in. And there we go. Look at that, that is looking neat. Very nice. Okay, on to page 16 now. And we've only got 6 steps left altogether. Yup. Right, we do basically exactly the same thing we did for this acrylic piece right here. So we pop a screw through one of the corners, go to the other side and pop the cube on. And again, we just have to make sure that it's nicely and tightly into place and that it's nice and flush against the acrylic piece. As you can see, it's sticking out a little bit. So I'm going to turn it back just a little bit. So as you can see, I'm basically turning it like that, just so it's flush with one of the sides. Then grab the screwdriver and simply tighten it. There we go. Literally just like that. As you can see, nice and flush at the top now. And do exactly the same thing 3 more times. Now that that's done, we come back to the main body right here. And this acrylic piece is literally coming on the top like that. And of course, these lines will line up with these acrylic pieces right here. And just make sure these metal squares, cubes, sorry, will be facing towards the LED lights. And we'll just have to push it on. Literally, just like that. See that? Nice and very straightforward. This is going to be quite an amazing base, to be honest. A very good size as well. On to our next pieces now, and we can start closing off all of those sides. So these acrylic pieces that have the massive hole right in the center, they will go right at the front of those LED lights. So either this side or the other side. And we just pop it on like this, as you can see. And we simply pop the screws in those metal cubes and we'll tighten them up. I'm not going to tighten them, jeez, oh, can I speak anymore? Tighten them fully just yet. I'm just popping them in to make sure everything's lined up in case I have to move something around. See, just like that. That one's not lined up properly, so I need to move it a little bit. Let's see, can I move it? So it looks like it's nearly lined up. I need to push the bottom up a little bit. There we go, see that? And now it's going in. There we go. See, that's why I don't tighten everything fully. And the last one. There you go. Now we can go ahead and tighten them. There we go. And one more. There we are. Look at that. This is going to look really nice. Now we've got our next pieces and we simply choose a side. We can pop this on the right hand side of this LED or the left hand side. It literally does not matter. I'm going on the right. It simply goes into place just like that. And again, just like with the first one, we simply secure it into place by using those 4 screws. As you can see, all 4 screws into place, and that cube is definitely going to look really nice. And now with the next 2 steps, you just simply have to do exactly the same thing. So we pop this on at the front of the LED because it's got that massive hole right in the center, and we'll pop the 4 screws in. That's that one in, and the last side. Yup, just make sure it just goes straight in there, just like that. There we go. Might have to push some of them out a little bit. So as you can see, it doesn't really go in on one side. So I'll undo this side just a little bit. So I can push it out just slightly, pull it out, and pop in just like that. And then tighten it again. There we go. Just like that. And now secure this into place with the last 4 screws. And there we go. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful, to be honest. Love that colour and the sturdiness. It looks really magical. Right, last 2 steps. And it's these guys. We got to go and install them. Yup. So, we got our pieces right here. So we got this longer rod. That will go on the screw on this guy that we built a wee while back. And then we've got a washer. That will also go on a screw. There we go, just like that. Then we come to the model, gonna hold it like that, make sure the screw doesn't fall out. And it's gonna go through that center hole in that LED light, the ring light. Just like that. And what we're going to do is hold it in place and simply screw it in. See, I'm holding this back a little bit because it was turning. And there we go. Look at this. I really love this addition, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I did not know that this is actually going to spin. That is absolutely brilliant addition, to be honest. A nice wee surprise. And now, on to our last step. Tube, straight on, and then the washer. Okay, and let's pop it through that hole, through the LED light. There we go. And screw it in. Now it's quite tight in there. Let's see. Is that nice and tight? Yep. There we go. Oh, that's slightly too tight maybe. Oh no, it kind of loosened itself up. Nice. No, it's definitely a little bit too tight, I think. Somehow, but that shouldn't affect the spinning, to be honest, because there's a bearing in there. Okay, yeah, that's definitely better. So I loosened the screw a little bit. That one as well, I'm going to loosen it just a little bit, just so we can spin much smoother, you know. There we go, look at that. So it's not like it suddenly kind of just stops like it did before. It does it gradually, you know. That is absolutely amazing. This screw could be slightly looser, to be honest. So yeah, just give the screw a bit of loosening if you feel like it needs it. And that is us done. I'm going to pop the bear on, turn on these lights and the bear light on as well, and we'll see exactly how it goes. But first, I'm going to give this a quick review. I'm going to start with the tools. As you may have noticed, I did not actually use the tweezers at all. My fingers did all of that magic, you know, especially when it came to the washers. Just push my finger on it, it just kind of sticks to the finger and I pop it on the screw. Easy. I did use this Allen key and this little wee wrench. That was really handy for that bottom part, remember that? Yep, because screwdriver could not get in there at all. So these are very handy. There was another Allen key, of course, but as I said already, I gave it to my wee boy and it's just completely vanished. I have not got a clue where it is, but I didn't need it, but you will probably need it if you don't have your screwdriver like I do. And my pliers, they were pretty handy. I normally use those for metal models because I just find it much easier. Now when I come and talk about instructions, I can tell you right now, they are extremely clear. So easy to follow, it's actually quite amazing. They're not overly cluttered with anything at all, and yeah, just super easy to understand and follow, and there's not that many pages, hence the model doesn't actually take that long to build. If I wasn't recording it, I could demolish that model probably in like a couple of hours, no problem. And when I talk about the easiness, that is actually very straightforward. So if you're an utter beginner, you will be perfectly fine, but if you're an expert, this will be a total breeze for you. Now onto the parts. So the actual model parts, excellent quality, so easy to work with, very nice and shiny, and those acrylic pieces, they were a treat to work with. That thickness, it just feels like really good quality. It's quite amazing. And as you can see, these are all of our spare parts that are left over, which is pretty good, and I didn't actually need any spare parts, but you would need them if the instructions haven't been changed yet, because remember right at the start where it said you need to use those G3 1.5s, but they were actually far too big because they kind of bent the metal up, which is no use. So we needed G3 1s instead. But if you're happy using G3 1.5s, that's fine. If not, just get in touch with Moyu Store and they will send you spare parts for free. Or if you've built metal models in the past, like I have, you might have some spare parts yourself already. Talking about the parts, by the way, I absolutely love this. How there was a few bags in each of these bags. So we got parts A, B, and C. So there was like few bags in A as an example. And then when you take them out and you follow instructions, you literally line them all up. As you can see, look at that. So that's your A1 bags right here. And it's like A1 of 1, 1 of 2, 1 of 3, or A4, and then A5, and so on and so on. It was so easy to kind of work your way through each bag, like from left to right, you know. It was very actually satisfying. There was no confusion about, oh, where's this piece? Oh, where's that piece? It was extremely easy to find pieces, which is magic. And yeah, overall, extremely satisfying model to build. It's got a very good weight, and I love how you can see through it as well. That is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, this, like this fidget spinner basically, I did not expect that. That was a nice surprise. I thought it was just going to be kind of fixed in a place and it will not move at all. So that I absolutely love. A very nice addition. And now what we can do is go and pop that bear on the top and turn on those lights. Okay, so we've got our base and we've got our bear. Yup, there you go. I personally think that looks absolutely magical, very steampunky, and yeah, quite robotic and futuristic. But yeah, that thing really kind of reminds me of the Iron Man or Transformers, you know. It's very quite cool. So let's turn on the light on the bear, just like that. See, the one thing about this base light, by the way, it's not like you can put the magnet anywhere you fancy and the light will come on. There's actually just one specific spot in that light that will activate it. So when I work my way around it, as you can see, just like that, it will just eventually turn on. See that? There you go. So my spot for this side is right about here. Yep, right there. If I put it here, as you can see, it will not turn it on, only in this spot. Then when I go to the back, let me take my bear off just in case it falls. Let's work my way around it. There we go. For this side, the spot is right here. Yep, if I keep going to the other side, as you can see, nothing. And there we go. This is absolutely brilliant. Look at that. I know on the camera it doesn't look that bright, but it is pretty bright actually. It's really quite cool. Definitely makes this whole model / the whole set look a lot nicer. And I really hope you guys have enjoyed this step-by-step build, and if you did, please leave a like down below. I would massively appreciate it, and subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss videos like this one, and go and check out this whole set on Moyu Store website. There's a link down below, and remember, use my promo code MARTINS and you will receive 12% off on everything. And thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.